Hi, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the show today. It's Uncle Bruce here. Stock Markets with Bruce is the name of the channel. We try to cover the markets in plain English over here, and we have a little bit of fun at the same time. I hope you're doing all right today. Welcome to Tuesday, June the 8th, 2000, and I think it's 21, isn't it? Yeah, something like that. I have a few hundred SoFi shares. Should I be writing a covered call with them or just wait it out? You're not writing covered calls now. No way. No. You're going to wait on SoFi for to reach the 30 to 40 range, and then you'll consider it at that time, because what we have to find out about SoFi is as they become more and more known in the marketplace, and I believe there will be a bit of a run on the stock because there's quite a bit of a short position on it, and this stock, as it sort of settles in, will be accumulated by large investment firms, institutional investors like pension funds and hedge funds and ETFs. As this thing gets gobbled up by outfits that won't sell it anymore, this tightens up the float, and we're moving this market up. Then it's a question of what kind of volatility do we have at 30, 35, or 40. And if we have $5 a day volatility, you may have to hold back and just go, okay, let this thing, inch up, and maybe when it reaches 40, 45, I'll write 50s or 55s. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, and we'll be monitoring it. We'll see what we can do. All right. Yeah, exciting stuff, man. This is awesome. I'm excited. Oh man, am I excited. How do you feel about the dividend stocks that you can also write options on, Uncle B? Yes, it can be done. You can do that on IBM. You're not going to get much in the way of premiums, though. Premiums aren't going to be like exceptional, but if you can get a 4.5% yield on an IBM stock, and then you can get maybe per year 6 or 8 or 10% yield on dividend income. I mean, on option premium. Add that to the dividend income, you got yourself a 12% yielder on your money. That's not bad. That's actually very good. Maybe something like that can work. Uncle B, what kind of news tomorrow do you expect that could jump GameStop significantly? What could make the stock take off to the end of the earth? I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, what news are we expecting tomorrow from GameStop? We're expecting, I hope, news like how many stores are going to be closed down. How many are planned to be shut down? How many stores do they want to be at by the end of the year? Maybe the current fiscal year. How the sales are going? How's the e-commerce going? Talk about that new, that brand new Pennsylvania-based, was it York, Pennsylvania-based warehouse that they're building for e-commerce distribution? Want to hear about that? I want to hear about these NFTs, non-fungible tokens. I want to hear about this website. I want to hear about this business. I want to know all about that. I would love to hear be introduced to the new CEO. Maybe that kind of reveal something like that person. What else am I expecting? I really don't know what else to expect in the meeting. I kind of waiting more for the after the meeting, the news after the meeting, which is the first quarter financials. That I'm waiting for. I'm very curious about how did the first 3 months go compared to last year's first 3 months and the year before that. Show me how you're doing there, and then from there, maybe in the next little while they'll discuss the possibility of maybe they'll sell stock, maybe they'll issue some shares to investors for more cash. After all, we're almost at 300 a share. I would love to see 3 million shares go out the door for 900 million more. Sell 10 million shares and bring in 3 billion. Beautiful. I mean, we'd have 80 million out with 4 billion in cash in the bank. Yeah, not bad. That's a really good, strong position to be in. Now this company is a buyer. Now these guys can go shopping for other companies, whatever they want to get into. They got cash and stock. Yeah, they can really transform this thing. That would excite me to no end, because I think if this company can raise cash at these stock levels, the stock will go higher, just like AMC. It'll go higher because every dollar you bring in, you strengthen the company's position. And if these guys sold, just hear me out. Theoretically, they sold 30 million shares. at 300. That would bring in $9 billion, right? With the billion they got, they'd have 10 billion in cash in the bank. They'd have 100 million shares outstanding, which is equal to $100 a share in cash. So the company now has 100 in the bank per share in cash. All right. You think the stock ever going to go back under $100 a share? No, they got 100 a share in cash. Would it go under 200? I doubt it. Not with 100 share in cash, and they're flowing money. And now they have 10 billion bucks, $10 billion, and they're looking around going, "Oh, what are we gonna get into?" They could make deals now for, say, they acquire a company and they spend maybe 20% cash and 80% stock. Okay, 5-1. Well, 10 billion in cash would let them buy 50 billion in assets. They might have 200 million shares outstanding, but now the company is valued at like 100 plus billion dollars. I mean, your stock is now over 300-400 book value or more, and it's cash flowing, and it's making all kinds of. Your stock's 1,000 a share. I mean, you're going to be just rich. So I don't expect that kind of news to come out tomorrow. I believe that kind of those kinds of thoughts are in the heads of key people at the top. There's one guy in particular I'm thinking about who's thinking, yeah, we got plans. But I don't think 30 million shares are going to be offered at 300 a share. I don't think so. I think there might be some offered here, maybe, but it'll be very little. I have a feeling that these shares will have to go much higher to entertain the idea of raising more cash, which makes you richer, of course, because obviously if they sell stock at 400 a share or 500 a share or 600 a share, they just issue, they bring in $1 billion here, $1 billion there, and $1 billion here, every $100 a share. That just, fuel to the fire. Yeah. So here we are, 296. Here we are. Welcome to the world. The meeting is tomorrow. Tomorrow night we get the first quarter financials. And we got a lot of stuff to digest here. We could be busy. Is it possible that the meeting, I think this is a GameStop question, is a no information show like last time with a corresponding stock price dip? Is the stock appreciation rights for new board members are assigned with the price of the day? I have no idea. I don't. I believe though. I'm going to guess though. I believe that stock options, they set the numbers of shares, but the terminology or the acquisition actual figures are determined by typically the previous 30 days average trading price of the shares before option dates kick in. So if a director is eligible to buy a couple thousand shares of stock a year from now, they will determine the price of that stock in the 30 days prior to that date. And they'll come up with the average price, and they might do that. Sometimes they come up with stuff like, we'll take the average, and then we'll give you a 10% discount as a bonus, as a director bonus. So you can buy 2,000 shares of the company at the average price of the last 30 days upon that date, a year from now, and we'll give you 10% off from that. And that money goes into the treasury as extra cash from the individual who probably has to borrow the money from his banker. They'll borrow the money from the banker, and then they'll sell some of the stock into the market to pay the tax gain and cover the loan. And so they buy 2,000 shares, but they keep like 800 of them. And the rest are used to fund the deal, and they end up with 800 shares for the year as a bonus. Now, that sounds not so great, but when the stock is 300 a share, pretty good. But some senior executives, obviously presidents and CEOs, these guys, get offers for, tens of thousands of shares or 50,000 shares a year, 100,000 shares a year. It all depends on, in many cases, though, they may have all kinds of performance metrics that they have to meet to be able to qualify to be allowed to acquire the shares. Just make the company money and make the shareholders richer by running that market higher with all of this great performance, and then you can get stock too. Who do I have to tickle to make SoFi wake up? I've got 1,700 shares at $22. I mean, come on. Let's go. I don't mind if the shares start with a down dip. I don't mind, because you get the sellers out, guys who want out, they get out. And then the buying keeps coming. It just keeps coming, and it keeps coming, and it keeps coming. People who follow me and others, We know the story about SoFi. We know that this company is growing dramatically. The number of members that they're growing are dramatic. I noticed something this morning. I don't know if you noticed it. Hang on a second. I gotta grab something over here. I noticed something the other day. Well, actually, I noticed it this morning on the air. I saw a commercial, and I'm not sure what station I was on. It might have been on CNBC. It might have been on CNN or something else. But it was a SoFi commercial, and I found it to be rather interesting because it featured a young person. I'm having a ton. Anybody curious? I'm having a ton. I'm like that guy in The Big Short, the Barry guy who had the Tums on his desk, I'm like that guy. Anyway, they had a young person who was holding their phone, smiling, of course, and they were using SoFi to consolidate their debt, and they were rolling into one account their debt on credit cards. They were taking 2 or 3 credit cards with high interest rates, and they were consolidating it down to a much lower payment, lower interest rate, the whole thing. So SoFi is encouraging their members to, hey, tell us your credit card balances with Discovery or American Express or whatever, put it all into here, into the SoFi thingy, and then hit the magic button, and we'll tell you whether or not we can do anything for you. And we'll see if we can consolidate all this into one number, one amount, and you're entering how much your minimum payments are. You're giving us all the info we need. We're turning around and saying, well, instead of paying this company this much money and this guy this much and that guy that much, you can just make a monthly payment to SoFi for maybe half the entire amount. And your interest costs are going from 20% to 8%. By the way, Gamestop 313. Zzz, is that the term? I think that's the term. Zzz. I've been running the wheel strategy on SoFi, and it has me bringing nice gains. It's 21.73 on SoFi, by the way. Since I've been yapping here for 15 minutes, SoFi has gone from $21 a share to 21.73. It's up 50 cents on the day. So welcome back, SoFi. Do you think I should keep running to see the upside in calls if my puts get assigned? Glitch, I have no idea what you're going to do there. All I can tell you is that there are more buyers than sellers, and GameStop is up $50 a share right now at $329 a share. That I can tell you. SoFi at 21.68, AMC 59.73. It's up 473 again today. That's good to see for AMC shoulders. Just broke 60 on AMC. Gores 1474, up 49 cents. I think my viewers who are into these call contracts for SoFi and Gores are smiling right now. I think they're smiling. Everyone on GameStop should be happy. 331, but we're not finished yet. 446 is the price for our long-term memories of what they did to us when it hit 346 the last time. On this low volume, isn't this a good thing? Well, if GameStop shares are trading now, what do we got here? Volume, 9 million shares. We have 9 million GameStop shares trading. That is low volume compared to the price movement so far. Unbelievable. AMC was trading 250, 300 million shares by now last week on these heavy 500, 600 million share trade days. Certainly. But of course, we have 500 million shares outstanding on AMC and only 70 million outstanding on GameStop. So GameStop can turn on a dime. GameStop can pop $10 a share in 3 minutes with any little bit of a buy wave. Right now it's 313 a share. It was just 309, 310 a minute or two ago. So you got to be mindful of that. 70 million shares outstanding, and retail investors aren't giving it up. This thing's gone. This thing is gone. If retail investors don't hold their orders, you do this for a couple hours and don't sell anything, we have a complete emptiness on the offer side, this thing will pop $50. I mean, they'll just go. There's a need for stock. Some folks have to buy for short covering reasons. Others have to buy for other reasons, maybe derivative trades out there. These shares can really go. With a lack of supply, they're gone. Can you give a little insight from back when you were a trader, when a company would have had an explosive run up like a GameStop? What is happening behind the scenes? Oh man. Well, it's possible that there could be some short sellers caught. You get certain traders out there that are with a hedge fund or not. They're just wealthy investors, or they're investors who are taking a chance and gambling, and they just think that the shares are overpriced, and they put a sell on it, and next thing you know, they get caught upside down, and then they have to panic their way in. They gotta, they're panic buying to try to get out from underneath the trade. And I'll tell you, trading desks light up in brokerage offices. This is the old days when I was a broker in the 80s. You as a broker would talk to a client about the stock, and the client would say, I am hearing the annual meetings tomorrow on GameStop. I want to go long on this stock. I think it'd go to 400 tomorrow. I want to buy it. So the broker would write a ticket or two or three, 3 tickets for a couple of clients here, and run to the desk trader, hand them the tickets. The desk trader, will timestamp each one when they land, and immediately phone in the orders to the desk traders on speed dials, and the floor traders on the exchange will hand signal to their partner what they need, and they know the guy at the GameStop desk, he's over there, and they're going, GameStop, we're buying 5,000 at market, just whatever at market. And you got this guy yelling, he's looking at the bid ask going, oh, it's 313.71 to 313.95, and he's yelling, bought 5,000, 313.91. And there's 5 guys who've got sell orders out there, and collectively they've got maybe 5,000 between them, but each guy has got roughly 1,000 shares each. And they're yelling at us, sold 1,000, sold 1,000, sold 1,000, sold 1,000. The guy's going, okay, I got 1,000 from you. Yeah. And he goes back, bought 5 at 319 or 314.91. The floor trader is phoning the desk trader where that call came from. You're filled all 5,000 at 314.91. You got them. And the broker, comes to he sees in his little hole, or these little cubicles. He sees his number, he's broker number 22, and in there are these blue tickets that are fills. He goes and grabs them, and he sees that he bought all 5,000 shares at $319, whatever. He's on the phone now, back to his clients, and he's telling his clients, we got him, and they're watching the market on the machine. He's watching the market on the machine, keeping the customer posted. The client is saying, oh, let me know if they go any higher, or if they go any lower, if they move more than $3-4, let me know. Or call me at the end of the day and let me know what happened, because I hear really good things about it. And, of course, the broker then is finishing with those calls, and then the broker's on calls to other clients telling them what he's hearing. I got a rumor here on GameStop. You were talking about GameStop with me about a month ago. I'm hearing, have you heard anything? This is what's going on. People are picking this stuff up. You want some? Yeah, give me 1,000 shares. He's starting to write tickets all over again. And then running to the trading desk, and the trading desk are getting brokers all over the office coming at him with tickets and tickets and tickets. Buy. He's calling the floor every 5 minutes. Buy 1,500, buy 800, buy 5,000, buy 2,000. And the calls are, yelling at floor trader, back to the desk trader, back to the desk trader in the office, back to the brokers across North America and the world. And that's the way we used to do it. And it was a lot of noise. I'll tell you, you'd walk into a brokerage office with 35 stockbrokers, and if half of them were into the AMC GameStop stuff, that office would be a yelling pit. It would be a pit of noise. And people are wondering what is going on in here, but it's organized mayhem. And on the floor, at the stock exchange floor, organized chaos down there, with hundreds of floor traders yelling at each other and barking buys and sells at each other, with the board up there changing constantly as they're watching the board and yelling at each other, pointing at each other. I bought from you. I sold to you. You bought from me. Back and forth go these tickets. You get the floor runners running to the floor trader, running back to the guy on the ticket in the booth with the phones. to get the orders reported and back and forth. And it was just, there was a reason that floor runners on the stock exchange were skinny guys. They were skinny because they needed to be skinny because they had to cut through a lot of people, but they didn't have time to get fat. Everyone else, varying degrees of health. Some of the floor traders were in pretty bad shape because they were drinking too much after the shift because they needed to unwind from a crazy day of trading. Yet there were some others who were in incredibly good shape. It all varied across the board. Anyway, those were the days. The mayhem in the office and the branch manager, this guy, me. I'm watching all 25 of these guys yelling with their clients, yelling at the desk, screaming. And I am watching it, trying to make sense of what the heck is going on. Thank you, everybody, for that. If you'd like to talk to me about a 1-hour session, you want to get together with me, send me an email through my email address, which is right here. It's the old school hotmail.com email address. Send me an email. Say, Bruce, I'd like to talk to you on a one-on-one session. When can you book me in? I'd like to make a reservation and lock it in right away.